This is a special presentation designed to showcase the fascinating story of an iconic ruler, Oba Erediauwa, gauge the impact of his reign, and seize over 3 decades on the exalted throne of ancient Benin through the voices and views of some celebrated Nigerians, academicians, Beninese within the monarchy, and of course, Nigerians in the diaspora. This presentation shall feature an interview with Oba Erediauwa himself as he relived some remarkable events of his reign by shedding light on the intricate characteristics of the traditions of a people over whom he reigned as a temporal ruler. A law graduate from the University of Cambridge, Oba Erediauwa, as a crown prince, was among the few Nigerians who made an impact in nation building as a civil servant when Nigeria was a British colony, and his meritorious service to the nation when Nigeria was under military rule. Before his ascension to the exalted throne of his forebears, Oba Erediauwa, as a crown prince, was one of several civil service officers that independent Nigeria had inherited from the colonial masters.
I knew him before he became the Oba, because my uncle, the former Deji of Akure, who was Adeshida the fourth, Adebobajo Adeshida, they were colleagues in Lagos. They were all living in Ikoyi, and I lived with my uncle. I know that the Oba of Benin became a permanent secretary before retiring home, before he took over the throne. He ascended the throne of his fathers. At that time, we knew him as a complete gentleman, a man of high integrity, a man of dignity. He was very calm, he was very cool, he was upright, he was diligent, he was one of the super pansec we used to have during Gowan.
As a crown prince, he served the government for 21 years. He was part of the evolution of the Nigerian civil service from the colonial era to independence, from which he voluntarily retired as a permanent secretary of the Federal Civil Service in 1973. Your Excellency, how will you assess Oba Erediauwa's contribution to nation building during his service to the nation as a permanent secretary to the Federal Civil Service while he was a crown prince? And of course, that was during your tenure as a federal military head of state.
Thank you very much for coming. Best advisors that the political leadership at the time had, and certainly, when politics was moved, they, as permanent secretaries, become the advisors to the military leadership, and they help us to be able to ensure that we're able to run the government effectively. Now, he was part of that team of excellent and most loyal permanent secretary.
I was a minister, but we were together and friends when we were neighbors and when he was a permanent secretary under me. But when he went to Benin, for some time we lost touch because he was very, very busy, and I was also in Lagos. But we know one another very much, and we sometimes consult one another.
When he was in Lagos, we simply adored him. We went to his house. His house then was behind the Dodam barracks, inside there, and we used to go there every Saturday to keep him company and so on. And he was very happy at it. And later, I continued the visit, and he was friendly with quite a few of us outside the palace. And as a matter of fact, He was already a king before he became king.
And as a permanent secretary during the Biafra War, people who doesn't know, during the Biafra War, he was involved in one of these Aburi negotiations to end the Biafra War.
After his retirement from the Federal Civil Service, he spent some time to help in building the defunct Bendel State, this time as a commissioner.
Every decision that he has taken, I see it as being influenced by his experience in the public service, and that he has also transferred to his chiefs his understanding of the Benin native law and custom.
Oba Erediauwa, the 38th Oba of a single line of succession spanning over 800 years, was the first son and successor of Oba Kenzwa II, the grandson of Oba Eweka II, and the great-grandson of Oba Ovorame Nobaisi. Omonoba Nedoku Apolopolo Oba Erediauwa was highly respected for the role he played in promoting peace and the preservation of the culture of the great people of Benin.
The reign was very peaceful in Benin, able to manage the Benin without any opera, like what used to happen to the forefather. Well, progress had come during his time. Stability has come during his time. And also, the pride of every Benin man is our history. He upheld it, but we need to do more.
He was very frank. He preserved the culture of the Benin Kingdom. And at the same time, he was always preaching peace. Benin was very, very peaceful during his tenure. And I'm going to pray that the peace he preached remains in Benin Kingdom.
Properly preserved as a result of his educational background. Incidentally, my mother and my auntie taught him in government school. If I have my way, I will bring back that school today, because a lot of prominent people in this town attended that government school. And my mother kept telling me that she was a teacher there, and my auntie too, before they died. They are both late. That background, that government school background, enabled him to further his education. Those are the type of schools we need these days. So it is that basic background that enabled him to preserve the culture and for him to have the kind of character he exhibited to most of us, which we admired in him.
The Omonoba had an urbane and cosmopolitan approach to issues. First and foremost, in spite of his education, in spite of his work experience, in spite of his exposure to the outside world, he's a man who kept faith with the traditions of the people. I think, in summary, he was an embodiment of culture, not just that of Benin cultural heritage, but that of culture generally within the confines of the Nigerian culture.
His Royal Majesty, Omonoba Oba Erediauwa, CFRO, the Oba of Benin, will be remembered for the intellectual legacy he leaves for prosperity. If you have read his works, particularly his speeches, his lectures, and papers, you will be astonished by his powerful and influential viewpoints on a number of issues which affects our development, particularly nation building and state building, and how the understanding of tradition and culture helps in dealing with the problems of modernity. I had the opportunity to edit most of his papers and speeches, and it's amazing the depth of its intellectual research on a number of issues.
For over 300 years, the Ogisos ruled the Benin Kingdom during an era known as the Ogiso dynasty. After a checkered period of interregnum, Prince Oromio was sent to Benin to rule as king by his father Erediauwa, the king of Ife, who was also known as Prince Ekaladera, the only son of Ogiso Wodo, the last Ogiso of the Ogiso dynasty. Prince Oromio's reign in Benin resulted in the institution of the Oba dynasty after the Ogiso dynasty, which ended in about 1120 AD. Since the restoration of the Oba dynasty by Oromio, son of Erediauwa, in about 1120 AD, the Benin Kingdom has succeeded in maintaining a single line of succession for over 800 years by way of primogeniture, with Oba Erediauwa as our 38th Oba. During his reign as the revered monarch of ancient Benin Kingdom, Oba Erediauwa is celebrated today for the monumental achievements that make him rank among one of the greatest kings that have ruled over the ancient empire of Benin.
Person that I have followed his activities even as in his early days of the Obaship, and he had always been a very strong supporter of tradition and culture. He had never deviated. He refused to deviate from that, because you find that what your forefathers did or stated or put down as a basis for you to follow, if you want to succeed, don't deviate from that. And I think what Omonoba had been doing as a father to Benin, in particular to larger society of our country, had been his contribution towards the development of our country, our multicultural country, our multi-religious country, with so many ethnic nationalities. So it's like him also contributing into sewing into a big gown, a beautiful gown with so many pieces of cloth of different colors. And that's what Nigeria is. So he has contributed his own, he had paid his dues, and I believe all Nigerians must acknowledge that yes, he paid his dues as a leader, as a father, and those coming behind should also look up to him to pick one or two things that they could use also in years to come.
In the development of so many things in Nigeria, not only Benin, but for the whole nation. His contribution for the friendliness with other traditional rulers is worthy of being emulated, because he did very well in bringing understanding to Nigeria. He and some of us were members of one committee for the promotion of unity in Nigeria. The committee was called Leaders of Thought. We spent quite a number of 2 years during Abacha regime, and we were members of this committee of Leaders of Thought. He was always contributing for the promotion of unity, not only among traditional rulers, but for the whole nation. So we appreciate his contribution to the development of unity and understanding among all Nigerians. This committee of Leaders of Thought had discussed on many other issues for development in Nigeria. He made an excellent contribution in that committee of Leaders of Thought. So we always remember him.
His contribution to nation building has been all across board in every area, social, political, economic, and all. From that time till now, you know the role he played as a civil servant, as a permanent secretary in cabinet office in the period that led to the Civil War, during the Civil War. And then after, when he retired, He also served in the civil service of Edo State, and he was a commissioner of finance. And from the comments of those he worked with, he had always been hardworking. He had always been affable, and people who worked with him have always observed his personality, which was always showing considerations for the feeling of other people.
Yes, Oba Erediauwa is a traditional ruler par excellence. He has brought finesse and humaneness to traditional rulership in Benin Kingdom and Edo State in general. He has made a lot of contributions, brought peace, harmony, and tranquility to the kingdom and the state also.